What's going on, guys? FadeitLuie here, bringing you guys a brand new video. We're going to be doing a mid-taper on my boy, so stay tuned. We're going to be starting off by debulking the sides with the 3 guard all the way closed. This is a disconnected undercut, so we're going to make sure the size is nice and even, and then we're going to taper up the sideburns. Now that we're done debulking the sides, we can move on to the back taper and use our Baby Let's Go to effects to create our first guideline. Don't forget to use your opposite hand to stretch the skin when balling out. Now that we're done balding them out, we can move on to our no guard all the way open and create our second guideline. You want to make sure you make this guideline around 1 inch thick so you can spread the blend. Again, don't forget to stretch the skin with your opposite hand to give you more room to blend. Now we're slightly closing the lever midway and all the way closed and attacking that initial guideline. Now that we're done erasing our initial guideline, we can move on to our 1 guard all the way open and create our third guideline. We're going to use this same guard and the lever to soften up the line and get it ready for the half guard. We are right on top of the occipital bone, so you want to make sure you detail as much as possible here. Now that we're done softening up the line with the 1 guard, we can move on to the half guard and erase the line completely. Moving on to our 2 guard all the way open, this is going to help us blend into the 3 that we debulked the sides with, and also it's going to help us use our 1.5 guard. We're going to again use this same guard and the lever to soften up the line and get it ready for the 1.5 guard. I hope you guys are enjoying the video. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It's greatly appreciated, man. Thank you. Here I'm using the 1.5 guard to erase the line completely, and then also sometimes there's still a faint line after using the 1.5 guard, so switching over to your 1 guard all the way open and using its corners will definitely help. Especially when you're near the occipital bone, you always want to detail as much as possible. Here I'm using the 3 guard all the way closed and I'm making sure everything's nice and even. It's always best to detail after you're done. I'm using my no guard all the way open and its corners to detail as much as possible. Now that we're done detailing, we can move on to our T outliners and line up the neck. I always start off at the bottom and work my way to the top arch. I feel like it solidifies a straight line and helps me guide it through the other side of the ear. You want to make sure not to press too hard in this area because you could bite them with the teeth of the trimmer. Moving on to the side taper, we're going to use our T outliners to create our first guideline and bald out the sideburn. Now that we're done bottoming them out, we can move on to our no guard all the way open and create our second guideline. We're then going to close the lever all the way and midway to help us erase that initial guideline. Now that we're done erasing our initial guideline, we can move on to our one guard all the way open and create our third guideline. Always make sure to use the corners of the clipper, especially when you're doing a mid-taper. Now that we're done softening up the line with the one guard, we can move on to the half guard and erase the line completely. Now that we're done with our lower guards, we can move on to our two guard all the way open and create our fourth guideline. This is going to help us blend into the three that we debulked the sides with, and then also is going to help us use our 1.5 guard. As you can see, now we're using our 1.5 guard to connect the whole taper and erase the line. Again, sometimes there's still a faint line after using your 1.5 guard, so switching over to your one guard all the way open and using his corners would definitely help. Now that we're done with the taper, we can move back to our lineup. It's always best to detail after you're done. Moving on to the C cup, we're going to start off at the bottom and work our way to the top arch using our T outliners. You want to make sure you use your corners and go as slow as possible, making sure that the hair feeds into the teeth of the trimmer. Man, comment down below if you think that lineup is crispy. Now we're moving on to the sideburns and we're using our no guard all the way open to create our second guideline. After we were done going with the grain, we moved on to our T outliners and lined up in front of the ear. Here I'm detailing as much as possible with my no guard all the way open. If they want their mustache knocked down and they're not sure what length, I always knock it down to a one guard all the way open because it's always the dentist area. You want to be very gentle when lining up the mustache, especially when you're using your trimmers. Before we line up his hairline, we're going to make sure we debulk everything with the 1.5 guard all the way open. Now that we're done debulking everything, we can start off in the middle and work our way to the sides with our T outliners. You always want to make sure you keep the vertical bars and corners as natural as possible. Make sure not to push them too in. Now that we're done lining them up, we can move on to the beard and we're going to use our gammas to make it as crispy as possible. This is easier to use the gammas and shape the beard because with the trimmers, the hair doesn't really feed into the teeth properly. So with the gammas, since they're stronger, it cuts the hair and shapes the beard a lot easier. So now that I got most of the bulk out of the way, I can switch over to my Annis T outliners and detail it. Now that we're done with the beard, we can move on to our Turkish razor and Derby premium blades, and we're gonna make them as crispy as possible. But before we do that, we're gonna apply some shave gel so that the razor could glide better. When you're using your razor, you want to stretch the skin as much as possible with your opposite hand and keep the razor at a 45-degree angle so you have a lesser chance of cutting someone. Always make sure you go against the grain on the cheeks, especially if they can take it. If they can't, then don't do it. That can lead to ingrown hairs and scar tissue, so make sure you be careful. We're also going to clean up his eyebrows. You always want to keep them as natural as possible without sacrificing any crispiness. And then also you don't want to arch them too much because he is a guy. Again, I hope you guys are enjoying the video. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It's greatly appreciated. Also, if you made it this far into the video, leave a comment down below of my subscriber count. Let's see who's really paying attention.